Hey folks, so this is Mike Cunha of Battles of the First World War podcast, and today I'm here in New Ipswich, New Hampshire at the New Ipswich Museum of History with Mr. Scott Kraska, who is the owner of the museum. He's also the owner of Bay State Military, whose Facebook page you should follow like right now. All right, so we are very lucky here. Obviously, we're in the World War I section of the museum, and I can't wait for Scott to tell us about some of the amazing exhibits he's got here. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Scott? Well, thanks, Mike, for coming up. I'm glad to have you up here.
Yeah,
we're starting up here with some of my favorite items of World War I, which were the American Volunteer Movement, which starts right in the first couple days of the war and continues through the end of the war. So when war is declared in August of 1914, Americans that are living in Paris, a lot of wealthier Americans, some were working over there, they wanted to help out. Germany had invaded. It was looked at as a big offense to civilized society, and so the Americans lined up to join. And the first thing they tried to get involved with was the Foreign Legion. And but through international treaty, American citizens could be in the Foreign Legion, and there's nothing America could do about that. Ordinarily, you would risk losing your citizenship if you joined a foreign army, right. But the Foreign Legion, by treaty with all countries, had an exception to that. So this is a classic 1914 vintage French Foreign Legion uniform with equipment and kepi. We have a Lebel rifle, which was typical for what they had. We do have one item from an American volunteer that was in the Foreign Legion. We have his helmet and his medals from a soldier from Massachusetts. His history is a little spotted, but there were some scoundrels in there as well.
Wow, really? Incredible.
This is an original mobilization poster. Actually gives the original date of the first day of mobilization.
Written in fountain pen. The date right there, Dimanche de août 1914. So Sunday, 2nd August 1914.
Yeah. Next to that, we have an American who joined the Canadian Forces. There was an organization that was recruited in New England. It was referred to later on as the McLean Kilties of America. And the unit consisted of about 75% Americans. And they were trying to recruit at that point. They were running out of men in Canada. So when World War I, when America declared war on Germany in World War I, the Canadians received special permission to come into New England and recruit Canadian or British citizens living in America. But once the Americans saw the pipe band and all the pomp and the kilts and the marching and all that, they were infatuated with it. And so, again, they were not eligible to be recruited. But the recruiters were pretty savvy. And when they would be lined up, and there'd always be a sergeant watching the line of men going up. And so when somebody would go up to the table, first thing they would ask you is, where are you from? And if they said something like Boston, Massachusetts, the officer would say to them, sorry, we can't take you.
Right.
And so the person would be dejected and they would turn away. Well, the sergeant would then walk up to them and say, hey, do you really want to get involved with this? And the person would ultimately say yes. And they'd say, well, you need to go back up there and tell them you're from Montreal. And they'd say, he just saw me a minute ago. He's going to know I'm lying. And he'd say, don't worry about it. Just go back through the line. So the same person would look at the same officer. He'd say, where are you from, son? And he'd say, well, I'm from Montreal. He'd say, well, great, sign right here. We'll get you right in. And that's how they filled a significant number of those slots.
Also, if I can, that is NCOs for you, right? Like they're always going to find a way to make things happen.
So this gentleman, Charles Wooten, was from New Hampshire. And he went off to war with the unit. Unfortunately, they were broken up for replacements. So they never got to fight as a complete unit. He ended up in the 72nd, another Highland unit. So the third one we're going to talk about, this gentleman's from Pennsylvania. And he was ineligible to serve with the Americans because of a defect in his eyesight. He actually had served on the Mexican border with the Pennsylvania National Guard. But when World War I came up, they were pickier in terms of things like eyesight. And so they looked at his eyesight and they said, sorry, you're ineligible. We can't let you serve. Because he was released from U.S. service for health issues, he was then eligible to go do something else. So he crossed the border, went to Canada, and they actually ended up making him a scout sniper, a guy with damaged eyesight.
How about
in
that?
one eye.
Wow.
And you can see his photograph is right there. His name was Herbert Wilson, and that is the uniform that he's wearing in the photograph. Same with the medals and the hat. Those are the ones he's got on there.
Incredible. What's this little book here?
That's a little pocket New Testament.
Okay.
That was something that America, of course, at that time was very religious.
Sure.
And most people were either Catholics, Christians, or
Right.
Jews.
Right.
And they would typically bring this little pocket.
Yeah, yeah,
They were also very frequent gifts.
yeah. I can imagine that could be a great comfort to have
Yeah.
to have that with you.
The group next to you is a grouping that we're going to talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. But this gentleman, Louis Gilger, was in an organization called the American Field Service. And these men were volunteer ambulance drivers that were driving for France. And they were allowed to go over there and serve because it was a humanitarian effort. They weren't carrying arms. They were strictly transporting wounded. And you can see his French helmet, gas mask. This is sort of an atypical uniform, this lightweight summer uniform, but this is his trunk. Many of these men were college students, and they were very proud of where they came from. And just like college kids of today, they wear gear from their college. So he was a student at Williams, and that is his athletic sweater for the Williams Athletic Association.
Amazing.
And he wore that in France. When you look at it down below on the thighs, it's covered with grease and motor oil from him working, changing tires, and then kind of doing this.
Yeah.
But we have his eating utensils, we have his haversack, we have his boots. It's a real nice time capsule. We have his overcoat, we have his bedroll for sleeping. So this is also a nice little time capsule piece.
Amazing. Oh, that is so cool. So cool, Scott.
You want to go take a look at?
Yeah.